think a lot of people went into a complete unknown, expecting it to be another standard biopic, especially since you have James Mangold, who did Walk the Line, directing this one. But I think it's actually much more interesting than that and a lot more different. It feels less like it's exploring these various beats throughout Bob Dylan's career, and it's more about finding this essence of what drives him as an artist, how he sees himself as an artist, and how that drives the choices that he makes. And even just structurally speaking, it's less of a cradle to the grave biopic. I mean, obviously Bob Dylan is still alive, so it wouldn't end with like his death or anything, but it is confined to like 5 years in the early 60s and explores his relationship to a bunch of musicians that he comes across in his early career, and feels more like a hangout movie more than anything else. One thing about this film that really struck me was this whole chunk of it that dealt with a folk music festival and this committee that runs it, because they are led by this guy, or I don't know if he's like the leader, but he's like one of the more influential members of this committee. And he has a very gatekeepy quality to him where he is very insistent on the purity of the folk music that they allow to play on the stage at their festival. And on one sense, you can understand his reasoning behind it. You can understand the need for wanting to retain your sort of sonic and aesthetic identity and not wanting it diluted by introducing different acts into the festival. But then you run the risk of isolating yourself in this bubble where you end up restricting yourself from evolving and potentially losing out on opportunities to have your message be reaching masses that are beyond your comprehension. And I feel like this aspect of the film in particular is very much in direct conversation with James Mangold's last film, Ford v Ferrari, which in part was a giant metaphor for creating art within the confines of a corporate environment. And the climax of this film with the festival feels like a direct rejection of the climax of Ford v Ferrari in regards to the race. If you've seen the film, you know exactly what I mean. So yeah, I just found it really fascinating how James Mangold seems to have come off the success of a couple big superhero movies and is now creating art that is very much about the nature of creating art and finding your voice within this noise of corporate interests and your peers and all these other political and cultural forces that are trying to push you in a very specific direction and really pushing through to find what is authentic to yourself. But yeah, I think the movie is really fun. It's very interesting, and the performances are really great across the board. The music's obviously excellent, and yeah, it's a surprisingly cozy movie, and I think it's really compelling. And whether you're a Bob Dylan fan or not, I think it's definitely worth checking out.